everyone. Joel Pate here. Glad you're joining me today for our webinar. Joshua's not going to be able to be with us today, so thought I'd start off with a video, and it's on the other screen over here, so probably turn my head there. Welcome, everyone, and I'm glad that you joined us. We're going to have a very interesting webinar today about building and leveraging relationships. One of the things that I've been able to do over the years and pretty well and built use these methods to build a 5,000-person referral group that referred us over 67,000 transactions, and about to do it again. So I pulled out the information that I had used back in the day and about to apply it again. So all this is fresh and new for me. So in doing some research on some of the latest techniques, I wanted to share this with you. So I'm hoping that'll be very good webinar for you. Let's start with a video. Let me bring it up here one second. Start with a video that I think you'll appreciate to kind of frame the conversation. All right, hold on a second. Sorry about that. Forgot to do something.
Hello, my name is Ed Rigsby. I'm the president of Rigsby.com and the author of the book, Developing Strategic Alliances. In my book, I talk about 10 critical qualities for selecting an alliance partner. I'd like to share with you one of those critical qualities. It's the quality of understanding what drives your partner's business. If you're going to be a great partner, you have to deliver this. If you're looking for a great partner, you've got to make sure that they deliver it to you. Here's the basic idea. If you understand what drives your partner's business, if you understand what your partner considers as valuable, then when you're working with your partner, you can deliver that value. If you don't do this, the challenge is you may be thinking that you're delivering value, that you're a great partner, but the conversation that your partner's having with themselves is you're not too good of a partner because you're not meeting their expectations. If you want to create outrageously successful relationships, my recommendation is understand what drives your partner's business, understand the value they need, and deliver to them the value they need.
Well, that's it in a nutshell, guys. And you know, as you go out to build relationships with referral sources, because that's what we all are looking to do is build those relationships. The key is to really add value and make sure that you're adding value. And so we're going to discuss today kind of what does that mean, because it is the absolute key here. So what did my friend Greg Frost say, who was the first $1 billion loan originator ever in the country? Okay, what did he say? Do business with your friends and make friends with the people that you do business with. Okay, so starting with that as the basis of relationship building. And, you know, so how do you do that? Well, some of the ways that he does it is, you know, he has barbecue cookouts, and he invites all of his friends and all of his customers, okay, and you know, really extends his hand. He does that very often. He does a quarterly, I believe it is, policeman and firefighter barbecue in his parking lot. He's right on the corner of this couple of busy streets. And so he brings all the firemen in and the police officers, and, you know, guess who ends up doing their loans, right? Greg does. And he does the same thing with realtors. He does the same thing with builders. He does the same thing with other relationships in his marketplace. Other companies that I know that, you know, they would have everybody come to a ball game or a movie and pay for everybody's, you know, to come to that. Now, I don't think it'd be too weird in the credit repair business that you know, everybody there has gone through your program and has received credit repair, unlike maybe buying a house or doing loan business with a loan originator. But everybody wants to bring their kids out to a ball game at the right time of the year. So just consider that as other ways to build relationships with your customers, because it's really a key to growing your business. Some of the other keys is to begin understanding when you're going to begin your process of expanding your relationships. Okay, where do you begin? Well, you begin by setting and establishing goals, and then you set a plan, of course, and then you begin to make selections, and then you begin to build the relationship. And again, there's this there's this concept called OODA loop, and I always have to look up the definition of that real quick, but let me do that because it speaks right to this. Because once all relationships will not be created equally here. So, and you won't know that until you've begun to build out the relationship. Let me get my notes here. I'll share that with you. It's OODA loop, OODALOOP. Okay, which stands for observe, orient, decide, and then act. And that term and the phraseology comes from airline pilots because when they're in a situation, they need to quickly observe, see what's going on, quickly orient themselves. Is this the right relationship? Is this the right direction? Are our goals similar? Are our core values similar? And then you got to make a decision, and you got to act. And with building relationships as well as with business plans, as well as flying an airplane, okay, it is critical that your OODA loop is as short as possible so that you can go out there and begin to build a relationship with someone, realize that your interests really aren't that much aligned, and then maybe make some adjustments. So I'm glad that I brought that up to you. But again, set the goals. Okay, what are your goals? I know when back in 2002 or 2001 when I started American, well, we started in 2000, but really got going in 2001. I remember sitting in a hotel once, and I said, how am I going to grow this local business? I've never done business outside of my local area. How am I going to grow it into a national business? And I said, well, I need to meet people across the country, right? I thought for a little bit longer, and I said, no, I need to meet somebody or several people that can introduce me to people all over the country, okay? Now, that was my goal, and that was my plan, so I began to establish that plan. But the same thing goes for your local market as it does for a national event, okay? So in your local market, you still need to set goals in order to determine if you've met the goals. Again, most of us are small business owners, and we don't have a board of directors. We don't have anybody to answer to, and typically we don't answer to anybody, and we typically don't even hold ourselves accountable. I put that on speaker. I apologize. Let me put it back on my headset. Thank you, Robert, for letting me know that. We don't even hold ourselves accountable because, that's why we went in business. We went in business so that we could, be independent and not be responsible, not have to answer to someone. Well, that's part of the problem of small businesses is because we don't answer to anybody, okay? And as a result, we don't hold ourselves accountable. As a result, our goals, if we even set them, a business plan, if we establish it, it doesn't come to fruition because we don't have a OODA loop, a short enough OODA loop to orient ourselves, decide, and take action. And as a result, we keep having the same results. Now, whether you're new to the business or you're doing 50 to 100 to 200 new deals a month, you end up getting in a comfort zone, and that's fine if it's good enough. Okay, a gentleman named Lee Evans, who was the first real home builder consultant, he said to home builders, he said, pick a volume that you're good at and stick with it. So when you reach a certain level of volume that is sufficient, this idea that you either grow or die is, he said, really not the way you run a business. But if you're seeking or need to go to the next level, then there's a ways to establish it. And and the primary issue here is more referral sources. Now, I don't know anything about Google AdWords. I wish I did. I was just on YouTube a little while ago, and I saw where they've got a new Google AdWords for video. I wish I knew more about that, but I don't. I don't know anything about car dealers. I've said that a million times. Don't even like car dealers. I like Joshua, but I don't like car dealers in general. And so I don't know anything about that. So we're going to talk about what I can help you with, and I think it's 80% of our customers' mortgage business is from mortgage and real estate and builder referrals. I say there's no better credit repair customer than a mortgage turndown. So there's just no better customer. They've reached some level of emotional connection with that house, the desire to move. They need to move. We own a lot of rental property, and we have we approved someone today that had gone through, lost their job, the credit got shot, got another job, then had identity theft on top of that. And so, that guy, we were able to approve him for the mortgage because, we called his former tenant. We called, or for the rental, I should say, because, we called it, we checked him out, right? Well, of course, he's a great candidate for credit repair because he's going to be re-entering the housing market at some juncture. And when, he may not be a good credit repair candidate now, he should get started now. But, what I discovered about about mortgage people years ago is that they only, as an example, mortgage people only did what was, or only prepared for what was right in front of them. Maybe 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 or 5 months, but never beyond that. And usually, most of them clung to what was working now so dramatically that, as an example, when the refinance market would shift, they would go from, having a pipeline of 50 loans, the interest rates went up a point, everybody fell out, and thus they now have no pipeline and make no money for the next period of time. So, we went to that marketplace and said, what are you going to do when the refinance market dries up? And we had a guy with an umbrella walking, with the rain and all this stuff, and the marketing campaign spent a bunch of money on it, but, nobody really bought that campaign because they said, well, I'll figure it out when I get to that point. So the credit repair customer that is at that emotional point is the best one. Now, of course, he's in a hurry and causes all sorts of other conflicts. But that's where you should concentrate, and that's where I know a lot about. So, again, setting the goals. And it can't be, I'm going to get 100 new referral sources in the next 30 days or something unrealistic like that. The goal is to establish, I'm going to try to get one this week, and then next week I'm going to figure out how to maybe get 2. But if you got 1 a week, okay, for the rest of the year, I don't know, we're about, about 30 weeks into the year maybe. So, you'd have maybe about 30 weeks left here, and that'd be 30 new referral sources. Okay, so that would be a really quite a feat, but it'd be reasonable, wasn't it? 1 a week. I want to pick up 1 new referral source a week. Now, they don't start doing business the next week, but some of them might. So, but that'd be a reasonable goal, and quite frankly, it'd be a lofty goal perhaps. Set the plan about how you're going to do it, how you're going to build these relationships. Okay, I've on one of the other slides we'll talk about it more, but I've espoused the realtor open house strategy on Sunday. Go to the open house on Sunday, meet with the agent that's there, meet 2 or 3 per week, and we got a whole training on that. So I'll just go into a brief amount of information for those that may not have heard that before. But go to the open house, tell them, look around the house and say, hey, I'm Joel with XYZ Credit Repair. I wanted to let you know that the reason I'm here is, I've been doing a little research on realtors in the marketplace, been researching you. I see that you've been in business for, 5 years, and that you've, been in the $1 million, $2 million, $3 million club several times. And, you look like you got a good web presence, and so I wanted to come out and meet you. And you make that kind of statement, and then you just stop, and then you just let that settle in with them. Let it saturate their mind, because they've not heard that in a long time, if ever. And they'll look at you and say, well, that's good. What can I do for you? He says, well, I'm here. I'm out interviewing real estate agents to do business with to see if you're a good fit for my team. And again, we've got an entire training in our members-only section about that. But that strategy absolutely categorically works. And then, of course, we're talking about the plan here. Then, of course, that that plan elongates in that on Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, you're going to, well, not Tuesday morning, because eventually you're going to be in a sales meeting every Tuesday morning, but Monday afternoon, you're going to call that realtor's broker or sales manager and say, you know, I met Sally out at the open house yesterday. She gave me your name. I'd like to come in and meet you. I'm interviewing real estate companies and agents to determine if they're a good fit for my customers. And again, he'll never have heard that before, so you'll get that invitation. You're also going to call Sally's favorite mortgage loan originator, and you're going to say, I was out, you're going to leave a voicemail, of course, you know, more than likely. I was out with Sally this weekend. She recommended that we talk, and I look forward to hearing back from you. This is my number. Okay, that's all you tell them. They call back, and you give them the same pitch and say, you know, I want to come meet with you. Now, the guy that says, no, I don't want to meet with you, say, okay, so that's the selection process. Cross them off the list. Maybe send them some information, okay? But don't you know, go after some low-hanging fruit and get you some success first before you, you know, before you start trying to battle Goliath, so to speak, and they don't want to do business with you. So select properly, and then, of course, begin that relationship building process. And you know, so how do you do that? So we're gonna talk about a few things you can do to build those relationships. Number one thing is, if you say you're going to be there at 9 o'clock, be there at 8:55. If you say you're going to call at 9, call at 9, and it'll impress them. I couldn't tell you how many times people say, well, one thing I can count on with you is your own time. Okay, now that doesn't happen all the time, doesn't happen every time, but typically, you know, that's what they get out of me, and as a result, they stop and take note, because people don't do that anymore. Okay, so relationships, developing partnerships with those you want to leverage to achieve a common goal that is mutually beneficial. Okay, so if it's not mutually beneficial, then it won't work. So what we're talking about today is absolutely mutually beneficial for the realtor, the builder, the mortgage person, because, you know, the goal here is, from their perspective, is not that you're going to get a credit repair client. The goal here is that they're going to get a commission. And so when you're dealing with this, you know, this person, this realtor as an example, this mortgage person as an example, you know about how much they're making on a transaction. $200,000 house, agents, let's just say, getting 3%. That's $6,000. Let's say they're splitting it 60-40 or whatever it might be, say 50-50 with their broker. They're making $1,500, $2,000. So every client that doesn't get to buy a house because of credit, and it's about 30 to 40, sometimes 50% of the people that they come in contact with, if you can return one or two of those a month, it's a significant thing. I heard a statistic years ago, it's probably true still, that the average real estate agent, average, across the board, sells one house per month, 12 houses a year. So one more house, one more deal is significant. Now, I don't, you know, I mean, that's just the average. That was an average a few years ago. So statistically, you know, you want to go after the more prosperous agents, but I can tell you a secret there. If you work with new or agents that don't do a lot of business and work with them to help them get started, you will have a friend for life, and you'll have a lot of loyalty there. So another, you know, don't discard the newer agents just because they don't have a lot of volume, but don't, you know, you can't spend all your time there as well, because, you know, you need to be able to get some volume as well. So there's, but beyond the referral source, or the obvious referral source, let's talk about all of the types of relationship types within your business organization. First, there's the strategic external alliances, the people that provide your software, you know, and your outsourcing, as an example. Infusionsoft would be an example. Score would be an example. And your people that build your websites, do your marketing for you. Okay, that would be a strategic external alliance, because there's no reason to go build your own software. There's no reason to go do some of your own marketing. There's no reason to to do, some, in many instances, do your own back-end processing because, it's just not efficient to do it. Okay, we've got a lot of case studies around that, and we're actually doing 2 more case studies now that actually demonstrate that, outsourcing is absolutely a cost-benefit analysis ratio, a positive thing. And of course, I can tell you with experience that building your own software won't be cost efficient when you can buy it for such a small price. Supplier alliances, okay, on your website. Now there's two schools of thought here. When you get somebody to your website, you should never have a link taking them somewhere else, okay, because that's a captive situation. Again, that's, I see it both ways, but there is obviously an absolutely benefit to having your realtors, your mortgage companies, even title companies, anybody that's a real referral source for you, have a section on your website that lists them, okay? And of course, what you want there is you want a testimonial from that person, and as many as possible. Have their picture there, and their company logo, and use it as a way to, to connect yourself with other professionals. Real key to building these relationships. Customer alliances, okay? These are from referrals from your current customers. Just think about this. You got a guy that works at a large company. He comes in, and again, I've seen this used in the mortgage space, many, many times very successfully. And you say, well, who's your HR manager? And you get the name of the HR manager, and you say, would you mind if would you introduce me to them? And some people will say, no, I don't want them to know I've got bad credit, okay? Well, okay, that's fine. But those that would allow that to occur, go and meet that person and get introduced. And if they say, no, I don't want them to know I've got bad credit, then you go to the HR person and says, well, some of your employees have come to me for service, and they didn't want you to know that they had bad credit, so they didn't, give me permission to tell you who they are. But I can tell you that I can help your customers and excuse me, your employees, and as a result, I can help your company. And that's an HR policy or program, and it's really easy to do, again, in a larger company. And, you allow them to send out flyers. They, put your name on a bulletin board. You have a class. You put your phone number on there. You give them a discount for a credit review. And it's easy to do. Make up a flyer, and they'll hand it out for you. Put it in their newsletter. Because I can tell you, as a result of, doing business at Ox Publishing and Hutton Chase, the majority of our customers access their account from work. I mean, you wouldn't believe all the different places, that our customers work. The U.S. Department of Defense, the IRS, every state you can conceive of, every city you can conceive of. Okay, and they've got accounts with us because they want to build their credit. Now, why do they do that? Okay. Well, because that's when the majority of people are at work. They're concerned about their credit. They're concerned about their finances. Some of them are getting calls from third-party collectors. And it's a real drag on the employee. You guys deal with consumers all day, and most of them are at work when you deal with them. Okay, so again, it's a tremendous demonstration of the fact that bad credit drags down the success of any company, and thus a tremendous opportunity to create customer alliances and leverage them into an HR policy. Okay, employee alliances. If your employees must be empowered in order to leverage that, leveraging them in order to leverage your business. If you've got a group of employees that can't do or won't do anything unless you tell them what to do, then you're smothering them, number one. You've hired improperly, maybe, number two. So I suggest that you make some adjustments there and empower them, create a process of continuous improvement so that when an error occurs, you don't jump them and they don't feel like you're jumping them. Okay, and instead you say, I'm really glad that this has happened. Let's deal with it. Let's create a policy and a procedure and a process so that you'll know what to do next time, And, and so blame it on the system and not on the person. And then, of course, make the adjustment and set the stage. And when it happens again, if it happens again, say, now, hold on a second, let's go back through this. Let's deal with this. And then only after that fails do you look at the person and say, no, you may not be the right person for this job. Okay? And that happens quite often. We've hired incorrectly, and we've got a whole training on the hiring process that you could access on our website as well. Now, the owner of the business, you as the owner, is the optimal, partner here, because, you think of yourself as the center of the universe, okay? But you're not. You're not. And if you act that way in building these relationships, then it won't work. The relationship is the center of the star here, okay? And you and your other strategic alliances are around that star, around that circle of relationships. And if you'll envision this, act in this manner, build it out in this manner, then you'll see a lot of progress. Another thing I always like to do is when I meet with someone, I always like to say, how can I help you? That's another aspect of this. Always want to help that person build their business. Again, back to that realtor interview process. You've just turned the tables on the realtor or the mortgage person by saying, I'm here to interview you, as a way to start a relationship from a equal playing field versus asking them for their mortgage turndowns, because they're tired of hearing that, and it just really doesn't work as well as maybe it should. But if you go in and with an equal footing is what you want to do, and with mutual respect is what you want to do, and what you want to accomplish, then you'll have a greater chance of that relationship blossoming. Now, of course, you've got to deliver, okay? And the number one way to deliver is to not take on a client that you really can't help. Now, everybody that goes to a mortgage person, I was talking to somebody when we started the FDCPA department. I said, I'm not sure that a mortgage company is a good place to get FDCPA leads. And I said, surely people in today's world of tight mortgage restrictions aren't going to apply for a mortgage and they've got active collections. And she said, you wouldn't believe it. Okay, so again, you're there to help and assist. So there's usually a way to help a customer, but sometimes they're not going to be able to be mortgage ready at that juncture, but they could in the future. So, promising that you can help everybody and get them back in right away to a mortgage is, obviously something you don't want to do, because it won't build respect with your referral source. Now, on the next slide is obviously the partial list of potential relationships. We've covered the realtors. Builders are very difficult to get to and deal with. They usually have a sales force. I can tell you that a builder will beat you down in price. They will if they're paying the fee, which some builders want to do, they won't pay you. They'll string you out 60 or 90 days, and they're a tough bunch. Okay, but there is a way to build relationships with realtors, and it's usually through their sales staff, and again, somebody that's missing out on a commission. I know of one company that took on credit repair customers at no charge. They happened to be a realtor and got a 2% commission if they were able to close a transaction that the mortgage company had given up on. And so that was a very lucrative way for them to get paid, and it worked really well. Mortgage folks are obviously a great target, and again, the best way to get to them other than through associations is through that realtor or builder referral, using that leverage of that relationship. Okay, that's what we're talking about, leveraging a relationship. And to say, hey, I met with Sally over the weekend, or talked to her, and she said you were her favorite loan originator, and I wanted to call you and meet. Let them call you, and then give them the same presentation as we did to the realtor. And again, that will turn the tables on them. You want to end up in their sales meetings, and the realtor sales meetings. Your goal as building an affiliate referral base is to be in a sales. Most realtors have sales meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday. Mortgage companies do as well. the goal is to be in a sales meeting at least once a week, okay? And again, you say, well, I don't have time for that. Well, sure you do. You just got to readjust your schedule, get someone else doing the other things that keeps you from building your business. And, you know, or hire somebody to do it. And so some people aren't built for that. Some people are the inside guys. But if you want to grow your business, somebody's got to go do that. Peter Drucker made the comment that all businesses have to spend at least 60% of their effort facing out, that there is no income inside the building. The only thing that's inside your office is expense, and the income is outside. So if you're not facing out with that effort to a substantial degree, then your income is going to diminish and your expenses still remain fairly consistent. So again, the goal would be to be in those meetings, go to the realtors meetings if they have them once a week, once a month, be at every one of those. We'll get to that in just a minute. I'm real enamored by the strategy of going to tax experts that, of course, make the majority of their money in 4 months. Some with lingering accounts, of course, they make all year. I think it's a tremendous opportunity. I've yet to create a strategy around it. If anybody knows that somebody's doing it really successfully, I'd like to know about it. But it's a tremendous opportunity. CPAs and financial planners are another, and of course lawyers are another great source. I've got a real estate lawyer that I do a lot of business with, and you know, he tells me all the stories of people that his clients file in bankruptcy, and people that have, you know, are substantial means, and they've had to file bankruptcy. They've you know, things have happened. They've had foreclosures, and of course that leads to they've lost their jobs, and things happen. And so, you know, again, if you've got a lawyer, the next step is to tell them what you do, show them case studies of how you've helped people, show them the testimonials, show them the absolute facts. I mean, here's a couple right here that started off with, and this was their credit report, and this was their credit score, and this is how it ended up. And you know, and again, make that a part of your presentation. I saw a tremendous presentation book the other day. I joined the local Vistage group, and if you have a Vistage group in your area, I recommend that you look into that. But he had a little portfolio binder. It's, you know, kind of a he's an older gentleman, and so he, you know, doesn't carry a laptop around. But it was just such a nice binder. He was able to flip it up like you do an iPad now, and flip through it. Of course, an iPad would be even better. Okay, so you know, have that presentation, or with lawyers, have that documents with redacted names on there, and give it to them, show it to them, show the CPA, the financial planner, because they're dealing with customers that's got money and they've got problems. Very few people go to a lawyer that they don't have a problem. Okay, and a CPA, you know, they know the inner workings of their clients' operations, and now, in going forward, I think for the next 5 years is going to be the best time for credit repair ever, because you've got all of these business owners and successful people and blue-collar workers as well trying to re-enter the buying space, whether it's a car or house or whatever it might be, business loans. And, you know, regardless of what some people say, you know, you're not going to get a $150,000 unsecured line of credit with no FICO score, no credit, no personal guarantee. I don't care. As a guy who owes banks about $4 million, I can tell you that ain't going to happen. Okay, you may get it from some loan shark at 9% interest. I mean, 9% fees are up front and crazy interest rates, something like that. But you know, I can tell you right now, the problem with a loan is you got to repay it. And the problem with a loan that costs you a lot of money is is that you're going to have a difficult time repaying that loan, and then you're really going to have a problem. Okay, and again, why are you borrowing money? Is it to start a marketing campaign? Okay, if it is to start a marketing campaign, you better have it laid out, better know what you're going to do, know what you're going to say, get it done, and put it into action so that the money is returns from that capital investment. If you're going to borrow money to build a website, you need to make sure that the results of that website generates income. Every capital dollar that you expend, you need to put pressure on it and in order to cause it to have a return, or you'd have been better off not spending the money. Okay, so we're kind of off the relationship building, but these are things that you need to know that are important, that these CPAs and lawyers and financial planners, they can appreciate that fact, and they will be able to help you. They will refer their clients to you. And so if of course, they know you, like you, and trust you. And again, we're back to building those relationships. And of course, there's nothing better, and all this leads actually to what we call a third-party endorsement. There's nothing better than a third-party endorsement, and I can tell you this, there's nothing worse than a negative, I don't guess it'd be an endorsement, would it, but a negative review. Hey, I'd refer you to that guy, but he's no good. You run into one of their clients, and the client happens to know that you know a particular lawyer, and he calls their lawyer. Well, what do you think about Bob? He said, I don't know. I mean, last time I sent him some people, and he never called him, didn't follow up, don't know what happened. They're unhappy, promised them more than they could deliver. And, now all of a sudden, you've got an influential person out there ruining your business. We're actually telling people that you've already ruined your own business. So, you got to be very, very careful, because a third-party influencer, and that's really kind of where we're going here, a third-party influencer is just that. And he's either going to help you or he's going to hurt you. So you always want to stay on the side of helping, and so that's why it's so critical the way you manage those relationships. Other sources of business here for you to consider and relationships to leverage are your suppliers. Okay, we get the water delivered to our office here. I want to, if I were in the credit repair business, I'd be saying, hey, buddy, if you know anybody needs their credit repaired, let me know. And have on the back of the card $50 for referral or something like that. And get a sales force out there. Okay, whether it's the water delivery, the document delivery, the shredded guys, the people you buy your software from, the people at Walmart, the people at the cleaners where you do business. Build a relationship so that they know what you do. Hand out. I like cards, but I like something bigger than cards, like an 8.5 by 11 four-sided document is really great. Kelly Wells was in my office a couple of weeks ago, and she'd actually already sent it to me. She's got a great document, and again, something to hand out is that's bigger, that's more substantial. Building those relationships with your suppliers. Look, you do business with them; they need some reciprocation. So another great way to do it. Of course, outsourcing. Is another great relationship builder. You got to have, but the point here is that just like with your suppliers, when you build that strategic alliance with your software company here, you need to know what to rely upon and who you can rely upon, and is the management stable, and do they deliver? Same with outsourcing, same with credit offers, same with people that you buy websites from and marketing from. There's got to be an ongoing relationship. So as an example, somebody that I know bought a very expensive website, the main person left, and now she's having a hard time, getting improvements made to that application. So, who's going to provide that service? And again, they're looking at the same thing from you. Imagine, you're looking at Score as an example to provide you with great access, great outsourcing, great communication, timely communication, timely effort. Well, your customers are looking, and you would expect that because you're paying us, right? Well, the same thing for your customer, and they want that timely communication, and the realtors want it, and the mortgage people want it, and you've got to give it to them. You got to meet their needs, as we saw in that video initially. You got to understand what their needs are, and then you got to meet their needs. Because if you don't meet their needs, you may be sitting there going, well, I'm doing a great job. But you're not meeting their needs, and as a result, obviously their needs aren't being met. And so what do people do when their needs aren't being met? They have an internal conversation that says, I don't know what I'm doing referring people to this guy. I'm not getting a call back. I don't know what's happening. And I even got a customer complaint. So, that's the key, is to envelop that relationship, envelop the customer referral, and just absolutely over communicate, is best. And then they say, hey, you don't have to tell me so much, you don't have to communicate so much. But, really, and again, set the expectations of what you're able to do. And, you all know this, that, there's really very little you can communicate with a consumer about between day 2, 3, 4 and day 35, because you just don't know anything else. Well, make sure they know that, and they set that expectation so that they know that, there's going to be no communication or no need for communication until that 35th day. As we talked about in one of our other presentations, when should you contact your consumer? Well, I would contact them about an hour and a half after they leave your office or they leave the phone call. I said, hey, I was looking at your report. I wanted to just ask you a clarifying question. Whatever it is, pick a question. Doesn't matter how important or how unimportant it is. Just ask them a question. Know that you're on the case. Okay, call them or email them, and of course, our system emails the notice of that the first round of disputes is going out when it goes out. So that's going to be in 2 or 3 days, and then communicate with them about halfway through the month, and then of course when the account is coming up to be renewed, according to what kind of pay system revenue all your own, you want to communicate with them in regard to how much they owe you or the fact that they're they've got to pay you. Okay, and then of course when the results come in, you want to communicate then as well. Going back to the realtor or the mortgage person, when do you want to communicate? You want to communicate when the person leaves your office. Hey, I just met with so-and-so. Looks like they've signed up with me, and looks like I won't be able to help them. I'll get back with you in about 35 days to update you on their progress. Okay, and establish that fact that they bought or that they didn't buy. Never let a real estate agent or mortgage person that refers business to you ever wonder what happened to the person they referred to you. And again, that's a relationship building there. Another point of that is train your real estate agents and your mortgage people on how to refer a person to you. It's best if they'll actually pick up the phone and call you and while they're in the office, or a three-way call of some sort, and really make that introduction. You definitely want to have some collateral material in their hands if possible, so that they can literally hand something to the person beyond just a card if possible. And make it worthwhile for that real estate agent or that consumer to do that and say, on the back of the card is something that we've been kicking around as a great way to generate business. If you've got a regular $199 audit fee, give this realtor a card and say, I'll do $50 off if they call me, this week or something like that, so that there's a call to action and a discount, because people like things for less money, and say, hey, I got this special with this credit repair company. They usually charge $199, but if you call them right away, they're going to do it. They'll do it for you for me for $149 or whatever the numbers are, and let that realtor again think they're getting something that they can offer as consideration for doing that guy a favor as well. So another ways to build that out. So where to start with these new relationships, and the answer is you got to get involved, and this is going to be a little painful. This list is going to be a little painful, going to be a little expensive, but there's a way to do it and do it inexpensively. But Chamber of Commerce is something that you should consider getting involved with, especially a tight-knit group. You're around business people, usually mortgage people, real estate people, bankers, and car dealers and other professionals that do business, okay, that have large businesses, have HR departments, they have houses that can't be sold, they have mortgages they can't do, are in these types of groups. Okay, so again, join and get involved in a committee that will benefit you, and check out the committee in your area. And then again, the Chamber of Commerce may not have a committee that would be beneficial to you, so consider starting one, okay, on credit and employees. Okay, so you've got big companies in your area that have employees, again, as a way to connect with HR managers. Usually most chambers of commerce have a lot of HR managers, okay, and human resource vice presidents, and again, great way to leverage yourself into that business and connect with more and more leverage points. The key is what we call multiplication instead of addition. You know, you want to go out and get 5 referral sources that'll send you 3 deals a month, and then you go get 7 that send you an average of 3, because they're all going to send you an average of something. Most referral sources are going to send you an average of 1 or 2 or 3 deals a month, and that's all they're going to send you because that's all they've got. So the key to multiplication of your business is to grow the number of good affiliate resources. Join one BNI type group in your area. I know people that, you know, they try to overdo it. They form different. They join too many organizations, and so I just don't recommend that at all. So you'd be better off to be a great member of the right organization than be a bad member of too many organizations. Realtor open house strategy, we've talked about that. Referral source breakfast, lunch, coffee strategy. Okay, we've talked about that over the years. Got a great recording on that. But the key here is that every referral source that you've got, build the relationships to the point that you can easily ask them, hey, there's other mortgage originators or realtors in your office. Would you mind introducing me to one of them? And I tell you what, I'll take you guys to breakfast or lunch, or we'll go have some coffee, and you'll get people to do that. And again, the goal of your time management is to do that at least once a week. Quite frankly, every lunch or every breakfast you should have with a referral source, and that would really maximize your ability to grow your business. Now, I have to tell you, if money's tight, okay, you know, all this can get a little expensive. So with regard to the breakfast and lunch strategy, you know, don't go overboard. I was doing over 200 deals a month in Alabama with down payment assistance before I'd ever bought anybody lunch or breakfast or coffee. Okay, so you can do it without this, but this is really a great strategy. Of course, you know, everybody likes to go to Starbucks and other things like that, so you can do it, you know, for 10, 20 bucks. So, but it's really a great strategy, because they'll spend the hour telling the person that they've invited how great you are. Okay, so again, a third-party endorsement like that is just invaluable. Realtors Association. If you're in the credit repair business and you're related to mortgages and realtors and buyers, and that's your calling and that's your vertical, you've got to be a member of the Realtors Association. Okay, go to the meeting, be an associate member, I think is what they call it. Women's Council of Realtors for women particularly is a tremendous organization within the realtors. They're a real tight-knit group. Women like to help women, so you've got an advantage there. I would definitely join that group as well. They have lunches at least once a month in our area at least, and you can become a speaker there, a sponsor, and you don't have to buy lunch and do expensive things like that, but go and, you know, be a sponsor to that. And in many instances, they'll at some juncture, after they know you, like you, and trust you a little bit, understand what you're doing, they'll let you be a speaker at that type of event. So it's a great opportunity. But, you know, again, be a vendor member. Lunch and Learns is another great way to do this. Again, these realtor meetings on Tuesday. You know, some of these companies are large, and so it may be cost prohibitive in some instances, but most are, you know, probably 20 people there. So go by and get some, you know, biscuits or donuts or whatever they like, and they usually will have their own coffee. You can bring some orange juice. So again, 20 or 30 bucks. You can get in front of 18 to 20, 30 real estate agents or mortgage people on a weekly basis. And there's no, you know, there's nothing better than that, you know, except if there was 200, right? So, but you got to start somewhere. So these lunch and learns or breakfast and learns or donuts at the meetings are really great. Home Builders Association. I go check that out and get the lay of the land there at the Home Builders Association. It's again, you can get a lot of business from builders, but you know, it's a unique strategy, and you need to get the lay of the land first. Mortgage Brokers and Bankers Associations are absolutely categorically a place that you need to go. Again, you can reach the point where you can do a presentation in front of them. CE courses are even better. We've got a CE course that you can get approved. It's been approved in several states, and potentially you could be approved in your state. If you don't know how to do that, call the Realtors Association, say, you know, and talk to the education person and ask them, you know, how do you go about getting a CE course approved in your state? Okay, so it's just that simple to make that phone call. And of course, the mortgage brokers and realtors and bankers, they all have in most states they have regional meetings. So, you know, it could be the North region, the West region. I think Florida's got like 15 different, or maybe even more, associations. But again, start where you are, where it's less expensive to build your business where you are than to go afar. But I have to tell you, the expert from afar carrying a briefcase, or the guy coming in from afar carrying a briefcase, is seen as an expert. So sometimes you can grow your business a little easier outside of your marketplace as well. So something to consider there. So, you know, once we build these relationships, we want to begin to leverage them in order to get, you know, move that relationship to the point where they know you, like you, and trust you sufficiently to be doing business with you, and again, referring their friends and their business associates, as well as others that are in the community, to you. So, you know, how do you do that? Okay. Well, one of the things is at some juncture here in building this relationship, after you establish, and again, there's 2 or 3 principles here, so I'm going to bounce around just a little bit. But in that building that realtor and that mortgage relationship, as we discussed, by coming in at a mutual level, place of strength, or at least you know, mutual strength with that person, and not asking them to send you there, asking them to do you a favor. Some relationships are better built by asking for help, especially when the person is a real giant stature in your marketplace. Okay, so if you're going to go to into some instances, you're going to want to go in and you're going to want to ask them for help and kind of lay out your desires on the table there, and realize that people of influence, I mean, real people of influence that, you know, you'll eventually approach with this effort, you know, they got a lot of experience, and they're going to see you coming. They're going to know why you're there, and they're going to know your intentions before you say hello. And so, you know, you can't bluff your way through everything. You can't be, you know, fake it until you make it. Works with people of lower caliber than you are, but it doesn't work with people of equal caliber, much less people of higher caliber. And I mean higher caliber in many ways, as you understand what I'm saying. You know, if they're the biggest real estate agent in the marketplace, and you've just started your company, there's no reason to go in there and bluff them. Okay, get to know them. Go to the realtor open house, meet them. Say, you know, I'd really like to get to know you. I respect the fact that, you know, you sell 500 houses a year, and I'm building my business, and you know, this is my background, and I'm able to help consumers. I've got a track record in doing that, and you know, I'd really like to get to know you and figure out how you know, you do things that maybe I could begin to do them that way, and really improve my business, because again, I need to make some money, and of course, you know, I got evidence that I can help people improve their credit. So sometimes, many times, that's the approach, rather than this fake it until you make it, wear a pink tie and a pink shirt, and walk in and try to power your way through something that the guy that you're talking to, you know, as Jack Nicholson said, you know, I hear your the fact that your shoes don't have caps on them as you walk down the hall, and whatever that movie was. But the point of it is they can see you coming. Okay, so, you know, honor that relationship with honesty, and you'll be surprised how far you get with that. And again, as I said, it's okay to ask for help here, because that's, you know, people like to help other people, especially, and you know, the more successful someone is, and again, if you build that relationship, get introduced to someone of that caliber, then I mean, they want to help you because they want to honor their friend who told you about them or who introduced you. And so it's another great way to just go in there and say, hey, I need your help. Can you help me? Can you give me some advice? It works really like a charm. Communication is always the lubrication of every well-run organization. You can't communicate too much with all parties, all of the parties involved, your employees. Okay, you can't communicate too much with your spouse. Sometimes they can communicate too much with you, maybe, but you know what I mean. You got to communicate. communicating with your customers, your referral sources, and keeping them abreast of what's going on is the way that will increase and improve the customer satisfaction and thus increase your business across the board. So I want to encourage you to lay out a plan, if you haven't, of communication. When am I going to touch the customer? How am I going to touch the customer? What am I going to say? How often? What if the plan goes awry? What if they're upset? What do I do then? Do I give them my cell phone number so they can call me anytime? What parameters do I set and establish, and non-negotiables do I put in place, and how do I make them feel good about the fact that I put these barriers or in place? And again, in these days, of course, if you're out of the office and you call somebody on your cell phone, they're going to call you back on your cell phone, and it's just the way it is now. And of course, text messaging. I'm really kind of shocked at the number of presidents of large organizations that our primary mode of communication now is text message. Hey, are you available? It's what you do, and it's really pretty amazing that we've reached that level of instant communication, but we have. So embrace that as well. And I was speaking to a gentleman today. It's one of our customers. And they've set up a text messaging program within Infusionsoft, and they're doing the majority of their communication through text messages. He's going to be on our Tuesday call, our Scoreinc call, so I recommend anybody to listen in on that, and I think you'll get a lot of good advice. Well, one of the things that so I hope you've enjoyed our webinar today. I want to tell you about how to get paid, okay? And most of you guys, if you look at your uncollectibles, how much money you're not getting paid, it can approach 30% or more. And no business can survive with a 30% loss of revenue. So I recommend, especially if you're on the pay-for-the-lead model, that you embrace Trans2Pay. We've got several customers that have done that, done it successfully. And I think next Thursday I'm going to try to have one of the gentlemen on the call that is does mortgage turndowns, embraced Trans2Pay, and has gotten it to work, and has just effectively eliminated his collection problem. Okay, so great thing to do. Go to our website. You can get information on Trans2Pay. Identity IQ, we recommend this credit monitoring because it's such a good product. The only way to get the $16.95 price point with the 3 reports, 3 scores, and 3 credit bureau monitoring every 30 days is to use this URL, myiqreport.com. You don't have to type in the capital IQ. I just did it to kind of emphasize it. Again, it's $16.95 a month. It's 30-day pulse, 3 bureaus, 7 years of history in many instances, and all the negative items are grouped together, so it's a real easy report to read. We also do fair debt collection practice work. So if when you're interviewing a client, and you even maybe before you review their credit report, say, well, by the way, are you receiving calls from third-party collectors? And if they say yes, note that, finish your cell, complete your cell, and then come back to that point. I mentioned to you and I asked you the question. You said you were getting calls from third-party collectors. Tell me about that. Okay. And if you'll go to our website, to the FDCPA, go to our Scoreinc.com, there's a FDCPA tab. There's 4 voicemail messages on there, and each of those messages resulted in the consumer receiving an award. The average award's about $500. In many cases, the debt is absolved, and the negative item removed from reporting permanently. You make up to $150, and the lawyer gets paid by the collection agency, so it costs your customer nothing. So it's a great upsell, downsell, side sell in various situations, and it's a great free, a very valuable offer to your customer, and again, a way for you to make some money. About 20% is across the board. About 20% of the consumers that you refer to us end up with a claim that you get paid on. So, if you refer 10 people, chances are you're going to get paid on 2. Okay, but guess what happened? You ruled out. It's like sending a doctor sending their patient to a specialist. So you can look at it that way as well and communicate that and build that value with your customers. Say, you know, I don't know that this is a problem, but I'm going to refer you to this law firm, and they're going to meet with you and give you free advice. They're going to see if this is a problem. And they'd feel good about that, wouldn't they? And as a way that you're doing something that won't cost you any money whatsoever, and let's go check this out. Let's make sure that this isn't an issue. Because if it is, you know, you may be in for about $500 and get that negative item removed and the debt absolved as well. So, you know, it's definitely a win-win situation. It's easy to sell it, easy to convey it, and we want you to consider doing that. Remember that tell the consumer to expect calls from area code 714 because, you know, people just don't want to answer the phone anymore, you know, because they're getting calls from collectors. One more thing, we have our Scoreinc software demo on Tuesdays. You can go to our website and go to the webinar section. If you're not already registered for that, there's a link there that you can register, and look forward to seeing you there. I really do hope that this has been a very significant webinar for you. It will be posted on our members-only section by usually on Friday, sometimes on Monday. And, you know, if you want to go back and listen to this, it is the way to build your business, without a doubt. And so I'd like to, you know, hear some testimonials from you if you've enjoyed this today. Send me an email if you would, and I'd like to know that it's helped you, and of course be able to use that to leverage my business, leverage our relationship, so that we can communicate how effective we are and the meaning that we have in your life. So if you'd do that, if you'd send it in writing, that'd be great. If you'd send a video, that'd even be better. I tell you what, I'll give you a free dispute service of $30 if you'll send me a video of how great how much you enjoyed our material in our Jumpstart webinar. So when you do that, remind me of it, and we'll give you that credit. So everyone, I wish you a great end of the week, a great weekend. Always say, if you'll start on Monday with a list, by Monday, if you'll have a list of everything you're going to do next week, or at least 60% of what you're going to get done next week, you'll get more done, and you'll be more successful, and as a result, you'll make more money. For me and Joshua here at Score, and Jasmine and the team, we wish you a great week, and thank you for joining us.